Well, good news, bad news here in St. Louis. Good news, Justin Bieber agreed to do a show at Scott Trade Center. Bad news, Lance Lynn out for the season due to Tommy John surgery. What does this mean for the Cardinals going forward?
Well, a lot of questions created by this, and I guess the only positive would be that it happens at the point of the kind of the free agency hustle that the Cardinals can shift their plans.
Yeah,
they're going to have to, right? I mean, their starting pitching was not something that they were necessarily looking at this offseason, but now they absolutely are. And it's gonna. I think the big question, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. But the big question to me are they going to shift their strategy with free agent starting pitching, because they typically haven't gone out and looked for a big name, multi-year, tons of money.
Yeah.
But now they're in a position where that might seem like a better option.
Yeah, I mean, you look at David Price. I mean, they're going to have to saute it. I mean, they're going to have to make it rain on a guy like David Price, $200 million or something like that. Is that the type of contract the Cardinals want to deal with, or is it something like a Zimmerman, Jeff Samardzija, or maybe even John Lackey, who we kind of thought was just gone. And now it's possible that maybe that's the guy they settle on for a multi-year deal. But that means, and I'm not excited about this, John Lackey in 2017 when he's pitching at age 73, I'm just not sure if that's the right way to go.
I'm more optimistic about long-term Lackey. I think he's not the kind of guy that you have to worry about giving a multi-year contract to, and then all of a sudden he puts it on autopilot.
Yeah, he's gonna take it seriously.
He's way too competitive to ever let that fall off.
Yeah.
And as long as he's healthy, I mean, why shouldn't they look at that as a legitimate option when he was so great this season? I mean, they gave him the ball twice in the postseason because they trusted him. So I think that's something that might be a little more enticing now. I mean, you're right. We had just written him off. He was going to be a Cub, or he was going to be with the Diamondbacks. He was going to be somewhere that would pay him more money, and I still think he's going to want more money. I'm not calling him selfish, but at that point in his career, he's going to want one more chance, one more big bite at the apple.
I disagree. I disagree with the idea like just because he's a competitor that means
I don't think that just because
he can pitch at age 37.
So you're worried about his health.
I'm worried about him not being good in 2 years. I'm worried about him not winning the games he starts as the pitcher.
Okay, that's a legitimate
my
concern. Yeah, that's a good.
But how about this though? I mean, another pun intended curveball is the Alex Reyes situation. Yeah. I mean, it's quite possible that Alex Reyes could have been a starter for the Cardinals this year. He gets busted for weed. Now I come to St. Louis from Denver, where I was a reporter and columnist. I mean, my take on weed is
the streets there made of marijuana, right?
The bricks.
That's what I've heard.
Like marijuana bricks.
Yeah.
No, you see what I'm saying? The bricks of marijuana are laid down, and
it covers the outfield walls of the baseball fields.
Yeah, like in Chicago they have ivy. in Denver they have weed.
Seriously though.
No, but seriously though, yeah. I mean, this guy. The thing that what I'm getting at is like, I see in a lot of ways how weed and drinking can be very similar. Whereas a lot in our society, they say drinking's okay and weed is the worst thing ever. But what I'm getting at here, the issue with Reyes, is that this is a second offense. And I'm telling you, man, that's on him. That's integrity at this point. I mean, cheeseburgers are my favorite food. If they said, Benjamin, if you eat a cheeseburger again, you're going to be in trouble at work. I ain't eating cheeseburger.
Right. At some point, it's risk versus reward. Is your life? Do you like this lifestyle more? Or do you like your job more?
Right.
Because they're starting to conflict. You've already been in trouble once.
Right.
So now you're making the same mistake twice. Mistakes, you can get a pass for a mistake, but when you're making the same ones over again, you kind of question your commitment to the team.
So who's the Rams guy?
Right. So Stedman Bailey.
Yeah.
Stedman Bailey again hit with another violation, and he's on a short leash when he comes back. But now the Rams say, well, we're going to go out and get Wes Welker. And this is an interesting conversation because you covered Wes Welker in Denver.
Sure.
And the conversation with him is he's the concussion guy. He said it yesterday. I'm the poster boy for concussions because he had 3 in a 9-month span between 2013 and 14. And, it's probably a big part of the reason he wasn't on the team right now.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of the teams. I mean, the guy was available in November.
Right.
He's not quite the guy that he used to be,
right,
but he's still adequate. He's one of the best third down guys around, and he's a great slot receiver. So why wasn't he picked up before? Well, part of the reason was concussions, but the Rams are going to bring him on. Yeah,
and I wrote in Denver, I mean, he had 2 concussions within 21 days.
Yes.
And I wrote this line, and it's kind of a very impactful line, but I said, the Broncos might win the Super Bowl this year. Will Wes Welker remember it? I mean, it's a very sobering thing to hear, but, I mean, So the Rams are the team. They're the one team that said, we're going to take this risk. Is that on them at all? Or is it just a business move?
I guess it depends on how you look at it. And I get the argument, look, he's a grown man, he can make his own decision. And at the end of the day, the NFL is a business.
Yeah.
But when the NFL tries to come out and talk about how they care about players' safety, they care about these things, at some point in time, that's going to come to telling guys, look, you can't play anymore. Because a player is always going to think he's ready. A player's always going to think he's ready. The prize fighter's always going to try to get back in the ring.
So it's on the
but
team,
at some point, you got to get tired of watching guys who maybe shouldn't be play. And so it's going to be an interesting conversation as we find out more and more about what's going to happen to these guys later on. And I asked Wes Welker yesterday, I said, look, you say you feel great now, but what about 10 years from now, 20 years from now? And that's when he stopped and said, look, I'm not going to answer any more questions about concussions. So it is a touchy subject, but it's one that I'm not going to feel good about watching Wes Welker play for the Rams.